welcome. This is Gbogbo Swagger and this is Swagger's Lifestyle. How are you? How are you doing? Hope you're living life and hope you're chasing your dreams. I saw something and I thought to share with you. Do you know that the world oldest stock market began in Belgium in 1460? You're surprised, right? Well, I was surprised when I saw it to myself. And the oldest US stock market exchange opened in 1790 in Philadelphia. Today, we're going to be talking about the stock market because it has been available and you should know about it. Do not go nowhere. This is Swagger's Lifestyle.
Welcome to Swagger's Lifestyle.
So today I have an experienced person. He has like so many years of experience. So I will just allow him to introduce himself. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adeomi Gbogbo Ade. I have over 20 years trading in Nigerian stock exchange and over 10 years trading on the US stock exchange. My background is in engineering, customer service, traffic optimization. My bachelor's is actually in electronic and computer engineering from Lagos State University, where the great last whites. And then my master's is in transportation and logistics management from American Military University. Thank you for having me on.
Wow. Well, thank you for honoring our invitation. We're actually in good hands. So let's just go straight into it. What is the stock market?
The stock market is a place where shares are traded. And let me explain what I mean by shares, because I think that is the term that really confuses a lot of people. Shares is just a portion of a company or a portion of something. So take, for example, an apple, you divide it into two. You have one share and the other share. And that is what a share is. A share is a portion of a company. So you could take an apple and divide it into a million pieces. One piece is a single share. So the stock market is a place where pieces of companies are traded on.
That is very, very, very easy to understand. So what's the difference between shares and stock? Is it the same thing?
Yeah, correct. A share and a stock is actually the same thing. In those days, during the days where they traded with ships, you hear things like lock, stock, and barrel, which stock really is inventory, so the lock is the key, which is access to that. The stock is actually the inventory, what is inside the warehouse, and the barrel is actually what is being traded. So a stock really is a word that evolved over time to mean a portion or what is inside the company, like the assets of a company.
Is the stock market profitable?
Yes, it is very profitable.
So how does it work?
Um, so there are two ways to look at it. You could just buy and sell, like buy low, sell high. You could look at it as a trader, like, you go to the market, you buy maybe an apple, 5 naira, and then you turn around and sell it. Or you buy land, a 1 million naira, and then you turn around and sell it at a higher price. Or you could buy land and actually invest in it in terms of developing it, adding value to it. And once people see that perceived value, money flows towards value. And I think that's the more important thing, for the focus to be on value, either creating value or enhancing value. So once value is created or enhanced, money flows in that direction, and then the price of that investment rises, just like land.
So how does it work? Is it like, for example, I buy a share and you talked about trading. So how does trading work? And then what is how do I make money from the stock exchange?
Okay, so let's let's just hone in on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And this applies anywhere, whether you're in London or you're in Zurich or you're in Shanghai or even in United States of America. You look at a company, you do your research, obviously, and look to see what the company does and um, how they how they go about doing their business. Now, based on that, you could say, oh, the assets are worth X amount. And when you take their
Okay.
liabilities out, this really is the exact value of the company. So the company may be valued at $1 billion, but the assets may actually be $1.5 billion. So you take that $1 billion and divide that by a billion shares, then you get a dollar. So it could be trading at a dollar, but the actual value is $1.50. So in that case, one could say, oh, this is a good buy. Or the company, for whatever reason, maybe based on what's going on in the market, a news just comes out and says something like, oh, coronavirus hits the world, and then you saw a lot of stocks just go down, nosedive. Now, you look at the company, the businesses, there was nothing fundamentally wrong with the businesses, but the perception out there pushed the value down, but the real value was still very high. So at that point, a lot of smart investors went in and just bought stocks and bought shares at relatively cheap prices and just sat on it. So just like land, you hear maybe a news like, oh, there is heavy rain in a certain area. All of a sudden they say, oh, there is flooding, and then the price of land in that area just becomes cheap. And then you just go and buy it and just sit on it. So after you sit on it, you could sell it within a short time. That is called trading, or you could sell it within a longer time frame. That is called, really investing. Investing really is adding value to something or extracting a
Okay.
perceived value from it.
Okay. So
Like, for example, we're talking about the Nigerian stock market, for example. We could talk about the US stock market too, but is the Nigerian stock market profitable and viable? Is it a viable form of investment?
Yes, the Nigerian stock market, relatively speaking, is profitable. You could, earn money from Nigerian stock market. The thing again to look at is value. So let's just look at some
Okay.
statistics. Right now, Nigeria, we have a population of 200 million people, and Nigerians have about 7 million babies every year. So that being said, you look
wow.
at companies that tend to that demographic, to that population. It's projected by the year 2035 that Nigeria would have 400 million people. So the trajectory, the
Wow.
demand for baby related products will continue to go up. Also,
Will
you
be
see an
that's
emerging
true.
middle class in Nigeria, and you see companies that are positioned to take care of that. The prices may look low right now compared to other companies, but there is a very good upside. Now, look at this here. The Nigerian stock market has been down by 6%. One can say, oh, that's not
Hmm.
profitable. You look at the stock market over time, the Nigerian stock market actually delivers healthy results.
Good. So, in recent times, the Nigerian stock market has made investors lose their investment. Why is that and how can it be avoided?
Well, the Nigerian stock market did not make anyone lose their investment. The perceived value of companies go up and down
Yes.
every day. Money, just like energy, is neither created nor lost, but it moves from one state to the other. So let's take, for example, you buy the shares of a company at, say, 10 naira, and it falls to
Okay.
8 naira. You could decide to sell, you could decide to hold on to it, or you could better still, and a better approach really is to look at the value of that company. Is that company really a 15 naira company, a 20 naira company? If that is the case, then you continue to buy because it's again comparing to land. You buy land, and within 3 months, the value of the land goes down. Do you just sell the land? No, you put in some value into the land and have it develop because you over time want to extract the real value of the land. So some companies are really 20 naira companies, 30 naira companies. Yeah, they may have gone from 10 naira to 8 naira, but I mean my advice is to continue to buy to unlock that value.
Okay, so we know that the return on investment for shares and stock is dividend, right? So how does that work? Is it that they share a certain percentage, or is it the profit sharing, or what does that word dividend mean, or how do you explain it?
The trick with respect to compound interest is understanding how that works. So if the value of a company, a share, is 10 naira or $10, January 1st, and by December 1st, it's 10 naira or $10, you could say, oh, I did not earn any money. Um, but the dividend that you got at 1 naira is actually a 10% increase, a 10% return on your investment. Now, you could take that 1 naira and put it in your pocket, or you could take that 1 naira and now plow it back into adding more shares. Take, for example, what Warren Buffett does. And, he says this all the time: compound interest and staying steady. Warren Buffett, the most successful investor of all time, what he has done really is no secret. He just bought companies at a low value and he kept on adding to it. Take, for example, Coca-Cola. 40 years ago, he bought the stock and it kept going up, going down. Every time it went down, he kept buying more shares. And the dividend, he kept reinvesting the dividend. He didn't just take the dividend of 1 naira or 1 naira 50 and put it in his pocket or complain and say, oh, I just got 1 naira. He kept reinvesting in that company, and he did that for 40 years. Now, you may say, oh, that's a long time. But in the grand scheme of things, that really is not a long time. If you look at the average life of a human being, which is about 80 years on average, that is just half of one's life. So also the trick is not necessarily a trick. The secret is starting early. Starting early. It's important to educate your children as early as possible on investing, on stock market investing. Warren Buffett actually bought his first share at 12 years old.
For the Nigerian stock exchange, if you want to buy shares or you want to buy stock, for example, you go to a broker, a stock broker, and they will buy for you and all of that. Now, in the US, how does it work?
The same thing also applies. You have companies who are licensed by the Nigerian Stock Exchange or the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, you know, who you can go to. They are licensed for them to buy shares for you. Um, so, example here is Fidelity. You can also use T. Rowe Price, Vanguard. There are a couple of them out there.
Cap, or is there a certain minimum amount that you have to be able to buy, or you could just buy it as you have?
You could buy as you have. Some people start with as low as $20, some as low as $10, $5. You could open the account for free and then just fund the account with whatever you have. And the important thing really is to do proper research on the company that you're buying.
Okay, do you have to be a resident of the US to be able to buy it?
The answer is yes and no. Yes, because that is the current regulation out there. No, because some Nigerian companies are beginning to offer that service. So I think
Oh,
some Nigerian companies are working with the Nigerian Stock Exchange or the governmental regulatory bodies to see how they can offer United States stocks for sale on their platform.
so what do you need to know before you delve into stock market?
I would rephrase the question as what do you need to know to own a portion of a company, because a share is a portion of a company. Number one is to um, have an understanding of an ownership mindset, an owner mindset. If you buy land, you take care of the land, you add value to the land, you keep you look for ways to unlock value on that land. The same thing when you buy a portion of a company, you look for ways to unlock the value in that company. You advertise that company. You see this a lot even with people who own shares. They would buy the shares of a company and then they'll take to Twitter and say, "Oh, I just bought a share of this fantastic company, or this company is fantastic." They're advertising the company, is creating more traffic, more value to that company. And as the shares rise, as the perceived value rise, their investment actually have more returns. So the first thing is to do proper research to understand its assets, its liabilities, its profit margin, how has it been profitable over the years, its competitors, how has it been able to push off competition and stay competitive, in the market, and more importantly, what is its vision for expansion. There are lots of companies out there that really don't have vision for expansion, and expansion really is where you unlock a lot of value.
Very, very correct. So we've come to our opinion poll segment. Yeah. So I saw a publication online that stated that around November 2020, the global market cap soared to a record of $95 trillion. How is that possible?
Again, let's go back to Newton's law of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it
One
moves from
to
one
the other.
form to the other. So you look at companies at the beginning of 2020, and everyone was relatively healthy.
Yes.
Now, when the virus hit, the value of companies went down. That money did not necessarily disappear. It just moved from one
To
asset
another.
to another.
Oh.
It moved from buying a portion of a company to buying land. That's why you see the value of land has, skyrocketed, more than shares, year over year, because a lot of people went towards owning land, owning gold, owning some form of, assets that, could quote unquote um, you could quote unquote weather the
Yeah.
storm. And as vaccinations came out, or the world started getting the impression that there is a return back to normal, then money began to flow back into stocks, and the perceived value. I keep using the
Perceived.
word perceived value because everything is about perception. Perception, once you perceive something is at a certain value, then it goes up to that value. But if you don't perceive there's any value in it, there is no interest. The law of demand and supply, value kind of moves away, perceived value moves away from it, though the actual value continues to
Okay, so let
rise.
us leave our viewers to comment. What do you think about our opinion? Is it true? Do you think it's true, or do you think it's perceived? Or just share, your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll be able to interact with you. So, how old were you when you bought your first shares?
Wow. When I bought my first share at age 15.
Wow. So, how did you know about the stock market?
So my father introduced me and my siblings to the stock market as a way of generating revenue. He did a lot of trading. He would buy and sell, and he would also buy for dividends, and buy the strong companies. So that's how, I got exposed to the Nigerian stock exchange.
So I think parents out there need to teach their children very early how to invest, because I think we really, really need to do that, because your dad taught you at a very, very tender age, and see how you've been able to, you know, do well in over the years, even in this line of investment. So I think, or I want to encourage viewers out there, try as much as possible to teach your children about investment. Let them start early. Which companies do you advise our viewers to invest in?
Well, I would start with a public statistics out there. The Nigerian population is about 200 million, and we have about 7 million babies every year, and our population is projected to double in the next 40 years. And I mean, you could just look at it mathematically. Each family has roughly 4 to 5 children. So in the next 40 years, the population doubles. So companies that provide service for babies or adolescents or teenagers. In fact, the current statistics, the average age of Nigerians is 19 years old. It's a very young population, a young growing population. So companies that actually provide products for that, is a company to look at, um, company to consider, especially if they have a healthy balance sheet, they have good assets, they've been paying dividends over time. Another thing to look at also is, in the financial space, banks or fintechs related company, because as this young population comes of age, they would need financial services to either start businesses, expand businesses, and even provide financing for companies to provide services to this growing population. Also, food based companies, something to look at, agro allied companies, something to definitely take a look at. And finally, I would say companies that provide educational services, because this population would need to be educated.
When should one buy or sell shares?
Well, I will focus on the buying part. Selling, really, I'm not a huge fan of selling because of the ownership
Okay.
mindset, especially with the long term growth and trajectory of that company. So, when should you buy? Now is the time to buy. You may have heard that and say, oh, but the prices of this stock is falling. Why should I buy? Oh, yes, it's a very good time to buy. When you look at the projected value or the market, as it were, even in Nigeria, I mean, next 40 years, the population doubling, right there is a lot of potential income that can be realized, so for a lot of good companies. And let me just give you a hint. During the time of the pandemic, while the value of prices went down, in March, April, stuff like that, and people were just selling stock, investors, both foreign and domestic, were buying a lot of shares because they knew that there was nothing fundamentally wrong with the company. And so now, as you said, in November, when $1 trillion, $9 trillion came back, their investments literally doubled. I mean, some stocks in the US literally doubled within 1 year. Some stocks in Nigeria, the same thing, and even across the world. So the thing is staying steady to your plan. What is the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is you own so much shares that you take over the company. You become the largest shareholder in the company, and you actually implement ideas to unlock more shares. So the time to buy is now.
For the sake of emphasis, which do you advise? trading or long-term investment?
I advise long-term investing because with long-term investing, not only do you have the opportunity of becoming um, a larger owner in that company, but you also have the opportunity of having a say on the direction of the company and really benefiting from the long-term value of that company. I mean, certain companies you could, buy and sell, and I would say to everyone, do your research.
What are the tips to becoming a successful investor?
Number one is knowledge, education. So starting with this video, you're educating yourself on it. Educating also your children or the next generation or your significant other. And, looking at the balance sheet. The balance sheet is where they report their financials. Look at their assets. Are their assets growing over time? Is their revenue growing over time? Is their expenses going up or down over time? Is their profit growing over time? These are the things to look at. And when you read the annual report or even the quarter, typically I don't read the quarterly report. I mean, it's good to read, but I typically look at the annual report because I have more of a long term trajectory, when I invest. That you look at what the company has in mind to do, and then you merge it with what is plausible out there in the economy, in the market. So a company could have a very big ambitious goal, but is it plausible? Is it realistic? So you read those things and then you make your judgment based on what the current perceived value and the future perceived value would be. The most important thing is um, buy and learn. Buy and learn. Buy and learn. If you like to have the results that Warren Buffett had, learn from him and do what he did, which is he bought and he kept on buying. He kept on buying until he had so much of a certain company where he was now able to, have a board seat or set the direction of that company to continue to unlock more and more value in that company.
Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. We've learned a lot. I have learned a lot, and I know that everybody out there that is watching this video has learned a lot. Thank you so very much. Thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you. So we've come to our giveaway session.
Thank you.
Yay! So what do you have for us today?
Well, today this is the part I'm just going to mention a name of one company. It's a great company on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It's called NACO, National
Okay.
Aviation Handling Service. If you've flown out of Murtala Mohammed Airport, which a lot of people have, NACO typically does the ground handling either on the ground and at the ticketing counter for a lot of domestic and foreign companies. So our giveaway today is if you like, subscribe, and share this video, you have a chance of winning 1,000 units of NACO
A thousand
shares.
units of narco shares. Wow, that is fantastic. Let me do the dance. Thank you so much. So, how will these people win? In as much as they're going to subscribe, comment, and like, is it going to be raffle or are you going to pick based on comments that they are going to make, or what's the way you want them to, the instructions for them to win?
Yeah, we'll do a raffle, and you have a brokerage account. We would fund the brokerage account with the value of those shares.
Thank you so very much. So even if you have a brokerage account or you do not, well, you could actually start by winning this. Thank you so much. This is a very wonderful giveaway. And then ensure that you comment on this video so that you can stand a chance of winning 1,000 units of NACO. Thank you so very much. Hello and welcome back. This is Gbogbo Swagger. Hope you learned a lot. I learned. What did I learn? Buy and learn. Buy and learn. Buy and learn. Before you buy, research, like our guest said. Research, do the research. And investment is key. Think long term. I still remain Gbogbo Swagger and this is Swagger's Lifestyle. Ensure you subscribe, you like, and comment so that you win 1,000 units of NACO.
Welcome to Swagger's Lifestyle.